Well, well, well. Let's check this out here. This should be an interesting talk. It's killing me.
What I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. F them.
Just here with friends. You know, thinking about company surfwear. Whoa.
I mean, this is what they're afraid of. They're afraid of one voice. Imagine.
nerdrotic.com.
Welcome you over 967,000 rebellious hellions and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. We haven't done this in a while. We've got some breaking news, and I'm not going to bury the lead on this one. Gina Carano and Elon Musk are suing Lucasfilm and Disney for discrimination due to Gina Carano's wrongful termination.
That's right.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that this announcement comes one day before Disney's quarterly earnings call. Honestly, this is Christmas in February, but let's do a brief recap because I'm sure Gina won't forget, and a lot of you haven't forgotten, what Disney put her through. After Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy proudly announced that the Force was female, one of the most famous firings was a female, a little lady who got out of line. Now, supposedly, she was fired for this post. But what she was really fired for was not putting pronouns in her bio and replacing it with beep bop boop, all while completely ignoring her co-star who bitched so much about being under a mask that he agreed to. He became essentially a voice actor, Pedro Pascal, when he demonized half of the country. And Disney looked the other way when Gina received thousands of threats. But it's not like Disney wasn't willing to work with Gina Carano. Gina wanted to take the offended people out to dinner and talk to them face to face. Disney, the company that thanked a concentration camp in China, shrunk Finn's face on the poster for The Force Awakens in China and covered up Chadwick Boseman's face on the Black Panther poster for China, had a better idea. They wanted to put her through a struggle session, but it wouldn't be that bad because it would be on Zoom with 40 people.
Oh,
So they wanted
yeah.
me to get on the phone with like 40 of their LGBTQ community, not on the phone, on Zoom. And I felt like you're all these people, all your employees are slandering the hell out of me right now. You think I want to get on a video where they can then film it?
That's when Gina rightly told Disney to
Go yourself. Is that clear? Hey, Bob. Sure the audience.
And then Disney decided to fire Gina, but not just simply announce she was fired, besmirch her character on the way out.
Yeah!
It might be actionable. Do they have a case? Well, obviously Elon and Gina think they do, and you might think so too after I remind you of this statement from Lucasfilm back in 2021. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future, a Lucasfilm spokesperson said in a statement Wednesday. Nevertheless, continued the Lucasfilm spokesperson, her social media posts denigrating people based on their culture and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Gina was also dropped as a client by UTA, an agency spokesperson confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter. Normally, something like that would come from an
Every time I saw UTA, I kept thinking UTI. It's two different things. Look it up if you don't know.
anonymous source, but they put a name to it. A Lucasfilm spokesperson. Don't know who it was, but they came from Lucasfilm. And the woke cancel culture mob, along with their willing and able partners at Disney, had another scalp. Fast forward to today, February 6th, a day that will live in infamy for cancel culture, no matter what happens, because Elon Musk and Gina Carano are fighting back. Gina Carano dropped this today on Twitter, which I refuse to call X. Sorry, Elon. Today is an important day for me. I am filing a lawsuit against Lucasfilm
I
and
did
Disney,
not
and
see
she
the
asked them
tweet.
both after my years of building a career from scratch and during the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek, the fall guy who got fired in the middle of the night on a Sunday at an Elton John concert. Lucasfilm made this statement on Twitter, terminating me from The Mandalorian. And again, she repeats what Lucasfilm put on Twitter. And I'd like to remind you that Disney showed far more patience with Jonathan Majors, who was accused of something pretty horrible, and they fired him after he was found guilty in court. That's how it's supposed to happen. Gina didn't commit any crime, didn't do anything wrong, and they called her a racist out the door. Again, this comes from a spokesperson at Lucasfilm. Her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Gina says nothing can be further from the truth. The truth is, I was being hunted down from everything I posted to every post I liked because I was not in line with the acceptable narrative of the time. And now that this is publicly out there, Gina was asked by Disney to unfollow geeks and gamers, among others.
Wow.
My words were
I do remember
consistently
hearing
twisted
that.
to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right wing extremist. It was a bullying smear campaign aimed at silencing, destroying, and making an example out of me. The thing is, I never even used aggressive language. I shared thought-provoking quotes, pictures, memes, and occasionally I used my own words. Not with aggression, but with respect and the occasional comedy to keep the mood light in dark times. Now, before anybody claps back with she broke some sort of morality clause or whatever in her contract, this was all happening while Pedro Pascal was calling half the country National Socialists, and Pablo Hidalgo at Lucasfilm was attacking fans like Star Wars Theory without even getting a talking to. The only thing we ask for is consistency. If Gina was allowed to say what she wants, and Pedro's allowed to say what he wants, and we're allowed to say what we want, like Pedro Pascal's a bitch, that's a good thing. Look with your own eyes at what I posted and ask yourself, for example, where did I compare Republicans to Jewish people in the Holocaust? I didn't. Ask yourself why they were calling me racist. Was there any merit behind that or history of it whatsoever? No. Look at why I was called a transmission phone. For making droid noises from Star Wars? Beep Bop Boop was obviously directed to the online bullies and did not in any way denigrate transgender people. Were my questions about masks, lockdowns, and forced vaccines okay to ask and push the subject into light? Should we have been allowed to publicly discuss those topics at the time without being harassed or censored? Absolutely. Hollywood says they support female representation and equal rights, and we know they're full of shit. Why then were my male co-stars permitted to speak without harassment and re-education courses or termination? But I was not afforded the same right to exercise my freedom of speech. Artists do not sign away our rights as American citizens when we enter into employment.
That's true.
As long as you have the right politics, Gina, you can say what you want. Unfortunately, you didn't have the right politics. And you know what? Maybe people would be a little more understanding from all the bloviating we hear from the adult pretenders in Hollywood if we heard an occasional opposing point of view, which we never do. I have spoken to all my co-stars since I was fired, and there is nothing but care and kind words between us. I respect their right to free speech and do not have to think the same way on every issue to be their friends and work with them, and I know they feel the same towards me. Unfortunately, we did not hear any of that publicly except from the late, great Carl Weathers. May he rest in peace. This is where Elon comes in. A couple of months ago, Elon Musk tweeted that if you have been fired from using the platform X for exercising your right to free speech, he would like to offer these people legal representation. Quite the noble offer, but never in my wildest dreams would I have thought anyone would take on my case against Lucasfilm/Disney. Still, I did respond back, I think I qualify, and thousands of people agreed. But I did not expect anything. To my surprise, a few months ago, I received an email from a lawyer who had been hired by X to look into my story and many others, and I love that many others. And now Gina is looking to clear her name. But I will tell you right now, Disney Star Wars needs Gina Carano more than Gina Carano needs Disney Star Wars. If I was her, I wouldn't
yeah,
accept
that's
the
true.
settlement. I wouldn't even simply accept my job back as Cara Dune. I wouldn't do anything without a public apology. And if she could add one to the fans, that would be great because they are owed one. Oh,
And I said that the other day. I don't know if I would want to work with or for a company that did that to me. However, if it's mainly the upper echelon that caused this problem and fired me and all this other stuff, that's a little bit different. If you're fired by the upper guys, by the suits, but everyone else from the directors to the other actors and everybody else that works on set is fine with you, then that's a little bit different, so.
and that apology
It's like, welcome back
needs
to the
come
family.
from Kathleen Kennedy. It's bad enough that Kathleen Kennedy has single-handedly destroyed the formerly most lucrative cinematic IP of all time, Star Wars, and destroying Indiana Jones in one damn film. But I think a pretty damn good argument
So
can be
depressing.
made that after the disaster that was the Disney Star Wars trilogy, they had won some fans back with The Mandalorian,
Yeah.
and the firing
Yeah.
of Gina Carano is something Lucasfilm has
Man, watching The Mandalorian was just, oh man, those first 2 seasons were really good. It felt like they threw a lot of money into it. Felt quality, good story, man. It was fun. Oh well.
has never recovered from. And let's not forget that Gina Carano has been the only person who used to work at that godforsaken company that defended the entire fandom, not just a small segment of it. Gina Carano is the bravest person in Hollywood. She has the biggest set of metaphorical balls that town has seen in a long time. And do not forget that her union did not defend her and she was fired by her agent over social media posts. And again, fired by a company named Lucasfilm that was completely okay with giving former Harvey Weinstein assistant Leslie Headland a job. Carano also alleges Disney engaged in a post-termination smear campaign. Alleges, that's what they did, citing the abrupt removal of an episode of Running Wild with Bear Grylls in which she disappeared
That'll be interesting if they
from the
find proof
show's
for that.
scheduled lineup in an effort to malign her. Though the episode eventually aired, Disney allegedly omitted any mention of her name and likeness in promotional materials. The suit faults Disney's termination of Carano as the impetus for the UTA and her transactional lawyer dropping her as a client as previously mentioned. Carano brings claims of wrongful discharge and sex discrimination. I do recall that Disney is currently being sued by a bunch of women for not getting paid equally. So apparently the force is female.
Oh, yeah,
We
I do
believe all
remember hearing
women,
that.
But we just don't need to pay them. She, Gina Carano, seeks a court order that would force Lucasfilm to recast her at least $75,000 per episode, I hope, and she deserves more than that. Now, that $75,000 she's asking for could be just compensation for projects that were promised but never happened, like Rangers of the New Republic, plus punitive damages, and I hope part of those punitive damages include an apology from Kathleen Kennedy. And since I'm asking for the impossible, why not throw on Kathleen Kennedy's resignation? Some of us have been unjustly singled out, harassed, persecuted, and had our livelihood stripped away because we dared to encourage conversation. Oh my God. Ask questions
That's
and refuse
scary.
to go along with
It's
the
scary.
mob, Gina
It's
Carano
really
said in her
scary.
statement. In closing, Gina says, I am grateful someone has come to my defense in such a powerful way and look forward to clearing my name. Thank you to all the people who have supported me and made your voices heard. I pray God blesses each and every one of you. With love, Gina Carano. And it certainly feels like the
Very
tide is
eloquent.
turning with this announcement of Gina Carano and Elon Musk suing Lucasfilm and Disney, but we've seen it in other places too. Shane Gillis recently returned to SNL after being fired for some supposed racist jokes. Joe Rogan got $250 million from Spotify, and he's returning to YouTube. And let's not forget, a couple of cosplayers tried to cancel Gina Carano from a comic convention in Canada, and that convention responded by adding Gina another day. But there are still many out there whose lives were absolutely destroyed, including one Roy Price. Who's Roy Price? Well, he helped start Amazon Prime Video and was in charge until he made a dick joke at a party and was canceled. Again, the timing of this couldn't have been better.
Wow.
This announcement came the day before the quarterly earnings call at Disney. Disney is currently in a proxy war with Nelson Peltz. It reminds me of what my old pops used to tell me. Never forget to kick a man while he's down. Oh, what?
I would like to know what the joke was. You know, a lot of these things with details, devil's in the details. I really want to know the details to a lot of these things, man. It's crazy, though. It's crazy what is happening to people for not agreeing with what's being pushed in media right now, man.
But right on cue, here comes the Access Media to defend their corporate masters. This is going to be a tough battle for Elon and Gina, but most everyone is rooting for you. And hey,
we'll see.
You never know what could happen. And it looks like they're even having a little fun. That opening crawl you saw at the beginning of the video, it's from the actual complaint. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but this is it.
She biting her lip like she saw somebody sexy. That's what women do when they, you know what I'm saying?
A very good start. I just had the opportunity to talk to Gina Carano this past weekend at MegaCon, and she is simply the sweetest person you could ever meet, but she's also tough as hell. And she's also the perfect person to spearhead a movement that is long over.
Speaking of MegaCon, I kept hearing guys mentioning that they were going to show up there, and I was like, maybe I should fly out there, bust on up in there and see everybody. Although I only heard like a couple of guys were going to be there, like Theory. I don't think I heard him say it. It was someone else I heard say that they were going to be there. But anyway, I was really thinking, I was like, maybe but I forgot about it. I forgot. You know what I mean? It was nice to fly on that. I think it was in Florida or something. Fly on out there, just bust up in there and start saying what's up to everybody. That'd been fun. Maybe next time.
Overdue, because it's time to cancel culture.
nerdrotic.com.
If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, well, sometimes the truth hurts.
Yeah, cancel culture, man. This time we live in is so insane, man. Good job as usual, Nerdrotic. Had to hear what your thoughts were on this and what was going on with Gina Carano. I know you know her better than I do, and so does Eric July. I know he knows her. She seems like cool people. It's a shame to have your career destroyed like that. Even people attempting to try to destroy your career is ridiculous. You gotta have super thick skin in this business. I tell you this, one thing you should have in this business is make sure you have a surefire plan of having FU money before you say anything, because you never know what could happen. Ridiculous. Post your comments down below. Get over and subscribe to Nerdrotic. Get them to 1 million before 2025. Tell them Tyrone Magnus sent you.